Good morning, Corpus Christi, Coastal Bend, listeners worldwide. Welcome on into another edition of the Sunday Sports Rush right here on News Talk KEYS, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. I am back. James Espinosa at your service. We have Adin Ducker back there behind the glass. What's up?
What's Gucci with it?
Alex Weister's in the building. He's still on summer vacation.
Indeed, I am. I tried to give a little more flair and a bit of a different twist on your intro last week. Didn't come out as good as I would have thought it did, but I tried.
I thought y'all guys did great in my absence, so I appreciate y'all guys holding it down. And, of course, we have Marcos Matakin in the building. What is up, Marcos?
What's up, James? Glad to be back. Been a little while.
It's been a little while, but we're glad we're all reunited. Yep. All four of us were here. It's the Sunday Sports Rush, episode 118. Get into the text line with any takes that you might have, 361-882-5397. I'll repeat, 361-882-5397. Hit us up. Send in your takes. Do whatever you want to do this morning. Let us know your thoughts on any and all things sports. It is Memorial Day weekend, so let's go ahead and, happy Memorial Day. We remember those who have fallen, who have served this great nation. So if you have anybody you would like to memorialize, you could also hit us up on the text line, 361-882-5397. If you have a fallen family member, friend, etc., let us know. We'll give them a shout-out in Memorial Day remembrance. Coming up in the first hour at 9:50, we have some Cowboys OTAs to discuss. We got some news and notes from that. At 9:30, we'll dive into the NBA's conference finals. Denver sweeps the Lakers. These guys are about to jump all over my case with that. And then the Celtics force a Game 7 last night. Oh, baby, Derek White with the game-winning shot. We'll dive into that. At 9:20, we do have some news to get into. But right now, I have a question for the audience. It is our question of the day right here on the Sunday Sports Rush, and it involves the San Antonio Spurs. It involves the number one overall pick that the Spurs currently have because they won the lottery. Now, here's the question of the day. If you're the Spurs brass, if you're R.C. Buford, if you're Brian Wright, if you're all the big dogs in the Spurs front office, Greg Popovich, etc., because he's part of this, what would it take for you to trade away the number one overall pick? What kind of compensation would a team need to drop at your doorstep to even have you enticed, to even have you pick up the phone and have a discussion to trade away the number one overall pick and essentially the right to draft Victor Wembanyama? 361-882-5397. Is there anything that any NBA team can do to pry away the number one overall pick from the Spurs? That is our question of the day. And I guess we could kind of give our thoughts on that right now. Anybody want to take a crack at this one first? I see Alex kind of nodding his head. What would it take?
I've said it since the very beginning. The Thunder hold the keys to be able to blow the doors open and absolutely make a monstrous trade that no one could even fathom. In my eyes, it would easily have to take Chet Holmgren. You would need to have him in that trade because It's a big man. That's what the Spurs would be drafting. They aren't going to be giving up Shea. That's not going to happen. But Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren, and then how many first-round picks do they have? I don't know. Take like 6 of them.
Just like unleash the arsenal of first-round picks.
Pretty much. They've been stockpiling. They can't be in a rebuild forever. They have to use those on something.
That is true. I do like that. That's an interesting scenario.
I think if they were to have that trade offer, they couldn't give more than 2 first because they really like Chet over there at OKC. I know he was hurt this past year, and they love Josh Giddey, especially that fan base. Mm-hmm. There's something about them and Josh Giddey, but I think that the Spurs would have to either trade back down in the lottery and get a pretty good trade compensation, probably with the team like the Mavericks that have a superstar like Luka Doncic or something like that, because I think the Spurs team, one of the more intriguing parts about drafting Wemby is that he could potentially be a superstar his first or second year in the league.
He could be the next generational GOAT. He could be the next greatest player in a generation. These next 10 to 15 years, it could be his era.
Yeah, and he could very well become a superstar very, very, very quickly in joining this league. And not only that, he's surrounded already by a young core of pretty talented players that are going to continue to develop with him.
361-882-5397. We got Robert in here on our social media feed, on our Sports Rush Facebook page. Robert says, it'd have to be something ridiculous and unrealistic. He's a lock to San Antonio. Do we agree, Adin?
I would have to agree as well. Call me unprepared for this segment or something like that.
It's okay.
I didn't even entice any kind of legit offer that would get the Spurs to want to trade away that number 1 overall pick. It's set in stone. The media, and this wasn't really brought by us. The media kind of brought this out with the whole Paolo Banchero magic.
You're right.
That's a good trade, though.
You're right about that. And at 10:20, we're going to actually dive into that ESPN article where there's 3 trade proposals that could maybe entice the Spurs. So that's what kind of stemmed this question that I put out to the audience, and that's what kind of got me into this discussion. Is there anything that could even entice the Spurs? Now, just my opinion, it would have to be superstar, like legitimate, solidified superstar for the number 1 pick. I'm talking like if the Bucks were to knock on the door and say, "We'll give you Giannis, we'll give you Giannis, we'll give you a couple of other guys, a couple of other picks," that would maybe get me enticed.
I mean, but how many years does Giannis have left? What, 2?
2 years on his contract?
I think so.
Something like that. But I'm not worried about contracts right now. I'm just worried about what I would want back. I'm talking like that's the kind of caliber player that I would need to get for the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
You're thinking having to trade an entire championship-winning roster to the team at this point.
Wait, you think that
Like the Spurs would need to get Giannis and I don't know.
Just trade your starting lineup to us and we'll let you draft Victor Wembanyama. How about
Pretty
that?
much.
Wait, are you serious?
What?
You want Giannis back as compensation for a kid that hasn't been drafted yet?
That's what it would take for if I'm RC Buford, if I'm Brian Wright, the Spurs GM. That's what it would take for me to trade away the number 1 overall pick. It would be like if the Phoenix Suns came knocking on the door and they said, "We'll give you Devin Booker and Kevin Durant." I'd be like, "All right."
Yeah, you're in.
I think
But delusional land.
Well, it's
now.
not. It's not delusional.
It's unrealistic.
It is.
though.
It is.
Okay, but that's what it would take, right?
No. I agree with James that it would take something unrealistic to.
It would take something monumental like that for I think the Spurs to even say, "Okay, we'll pick up the phone and talk."
I don't think that is I don't think it's unrealistic to assume that it's going to take an unrealistic trade, considering how absolutely glowing Brian Wright was in all those ESPN interviews after the draft lottery, because he was they weren't even messing around, trying to PR this thing like, yeah, we still have to go through the draft process and evaluate each player. No, they straight up asked him, like, how excited are you at potentially adding Victor Wembanyama? And he was like, yeah, we're all super stoked about the idea. He's a generational talent.
361-882-5397. We got Dom in here on our Sports Rush Facebook page. Give us a like on Facebook, by the way. Search at Sports Rush. Dom says, there is no way the Spurs trade this pick. I'm hoping Wemby pans out and doesn't fizzle out like the media hyped Zion.
I mean, when Zion plays, he's like really good.
He's amazing, yeah.
It just he has injury issues with his foot. So
Wemby's already had injury issues as well.
I mean, it comes with being, what, 7'5"?
7'5".
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
What 7'5" player out there
But
has
here's the thing,
avoided
though,
knee injuries?
Like, the Spurs, for years, have needed to address that center spot. And this is the perfect opportunity to do so. You think the Spurs are going to pass that up? No.
So we're saying
anything is unrealistic.
But here's the thing. I completely agree with what everybody's saying. The Spurs are deadlocked on drafting him right now. But let's say a trade package like the one with Paolo Banchero comes around. That is a position of need, and the package was very good. We're talking 2 first-round picks this year you could use, plus the rookie of the year who is no slouch.
who's already established that he can play.
And play very well.
We don't know if Wemby can play in the NBA. That's why I'm not like saying this is going to happen. All I'm saying is, what would it take for the Spurs to answer the phone from another team.
I agree. It would be monstrous.
You would have to have an established player that you know can already play. We don't know what Wemby's going to be in the NBA. Right now, Wemby's playing in a semifinal game in France as we speak. We don't know. We don't know how it's going to translate to the NBA.
Magic, you didn't get Tim Duncan from the Spurs. You're not going to get Wembanyamat from the Spurs.
My thing is this, though. The Spurs have hit on David Robinson. They hit on Tim Duncan. Both times they had the number 1 pick. Both times they won the lottery. Are they really going to hit a third time like this? Or is fate destined to say, you know what, Spurs? Y'all might have won the lottery, but this Wemby kid ain't going to be what he cracks up to be. There's a lot of possibilities here. We're already anointing Wemby as the greatest of a generation.
If Wemby
and he hasn't even played 1 NBA minute. 1 second. That's the danger in this.
If the NBA gods really wanted to curse this Wemby kid, they would have sent him to the Hornets.
That is the danger
Okay.
of putting all your eggs in this generational basket. Yes, you do take the risk because of all the prognosticators claiming that he is the next generational GOAT. Yeah, you're going to take that risk. But, guys, it's a very big risk. Very big risk considering his size, considering the history of injuries with big guys like that. But the risk is probably worth the reward for the Spurs.
Yeah,
361-882-5397.
Understandably, that's my only thing is that will he have like a Greg Oden Zion, thing with injuries?
Greg Oden. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I think it's just a problem in the fact of, as the media, and we should include ourselves in this.
We are media, technically.
In the culture of basketball, and I guess all sports, every year or every couple years, there's just generational, once-in-a-lifetime prospect that comes out, and then, they're expected to come in and make a dynasty to whoever drafted them. When was the last time it happened? LeBron? Steph?
LeBron?
Well,
number 1 overall pick.
Steph wasn't the prospect.
How often does the team that drafts a player actually win a championship with that player in a relatively soon
with
period
the number 1 overall pick?
With the number 1 overall pick.
It doesn't happen too often.
It's only been LeBron.
LeBron?
That's it.
Well, as of recently, and then you have to go all the way back to Tim Duncan and then David Robinson.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the odds are stacked against the Spurs that Wemby is actually going to work out like that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Here's the thing, though. The Spurs are a solid organization when they have the right pieces, to win. So I'm not worried about that.
And I think that is what...
Because when you get the number 1 overall pick, you have a lot of mid to bad franchises getting that number 1 overall pick, so they don't have the team put around that number 1 overall pick that they're going to get.
And I think that's where we could put a bow tie on this segment, because if we're going to take something... if we're going to rely on something as Spurs fans, we can rely on the fact that this is a championship franchise with championship pedigree, with people who have run championship teams and coached championship teams who know what they're doing. All right? This ain't the Orlando Magic. This ain't the Washington Wizards. This ain't the Charlotte Hornets. This ain't any other spare basketball team that has never even sniffed anything close to what the Spurs have. It's the San Antonio Spurs, so I guess we can rely on the fact that Wemby would be in better hands with them than anybody else. 361-882-5397. What would it take for the Spurs to trade away the number 1 overall pick? What kind of trade compensation would the Spurs need to even entice that? That is our question of the day. Make sure you get in on the text line, 361-882-5397. When we come back, is LeBron James really going to retire? We got the audio for you. I'll give my take on this, and I'm pretty sure these guys are about to dogpile me because the Lakers got swept. Stick around. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Episode 118, Sunday Sports Rush. James, Adin, Alex, and Marcos with you. 361-882-5397. Get in on the text line. Appreciate y'all, boys and girls, being with us this morning. Shout out to Chuck in the DFW. At Sooner Clone is in here on the text line. He says, I'm listening as I drive to Browntown, a.k.a. Brownsville. Shout out to Chuck. Appreciate you listening along with us this morning, and safe travels down to Brownsville. Chuck, P1 of us here at Keys since our bench warmer days.
Shout out
Way
Chuck.
back when. Way back when. We go back with Chuck. So awesome.
Is he Chuck for short?
Yes.
Shout out Chuck.
Chuck's in here. All right. We got some more Wemby reaction. Would you, if you're the Spurs, what kind of trade compensation would it take to trade away the number 1 overall pick? We got Javi in here on the Sports Rush 1440 Facebook page. Javi says, I wouldn't risk trading away that number 1. If we trade that away, it would set our Spurs back. I'll keep that number 1 draft pick, which we call that the 1997 Miracle, in the back pocket, and guard that with your life. So he's pretty much saying, I'm not trading it away for anything. Okay, that's fair. Look, I thought it was just an interesting question to ask. Obviously, Spurs fans are saying, we're not trading it away. We're not going to do that. We're not going to give away Wemby. We're not going to give away the alien, the 7'5" freak of nature. Yeah, I get it. You don't want to give him away. I'm just asking the question, what would it take for R.C. Buford and Brian Wright to pick up the phone and say, tell me more. Tell me more. I'm interested. What would it take? 361-882-5397. Let's go ahead, though. Did you have something real quick?
Yeah, I was just wanted to have a quick reminder that I don't think that the Spurs are actually, their roster is worthy of the number 1 overall pick. And remember, there's a lot of injuries that they had going throughout the season. There's a lot of young pieces. They didn't know how to play with each other until late in the year, and then there's a lot of injuries. So there's good young pieces to build around whatever the franchise decides.
There we go. So we're going to obviously stick with this Wemby discussion throughout the entire show, so get your takes in. 361-882-5397. Right now, we're going to continue to talk some NBA because LeBron James and the Lakers were swept by the Nuggets.
Swept.
They were swept. It was embarrassing. Even though LeBron James scored 40 points in a Game 4 loss, 113-111, 40 points, no big deal, just putting the team on his back like he always does. 40 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 of 7 from 3, played 48 minutes. Whatever, right? 38 years old. He did everything he could.
Yeah. And
battling a foot injury that he should have had surgery on, but you know what? He toughed it out and gritted it out.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call coping.
HGH, tastes so good.
So that happened, right? And y'all guys can dogpile on me here in the next segment because we're going to continue NBA and we'll talk about this a little bit more. But right now I want to talk about what LeBron said post-game. So, Adin, we have the audio.
All right, let me test this out because the Bieber has been working for the past couple months.
LeBron James was talking and he intimated that this might be the last we ever see of him on a basketball court. Here's LeBron James talking about his future.
I like to say it's a successful year because I don't play for anything besides winning championships at this point in my career, and I don't get a kick out of making a conference appearance. I've done it a lot, and it's not fun to me to not be able to be a part of getting to the finals, but we'll see what happens going forward. But I don't know. I got a lot to think about, to be honest. And just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, got a lot to think about.
Fact or cap? Fact or cap? Is LeBron retiring, Adin?
It is a big load of steaming horse cap.
Alex.
Yeah, that's cap. He's not retiring.
Marcos.
Yeah, I don't think he's retiring right now.
So, did LeBron do one of his PR tactical things here and change the narrative from I got swept to, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me give the media some red meat here and let me toss out that I'm contemplating retirement so that way that's what everybody's talking about instead of the fact that the Lakers got swept. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
We all know that.
This is a page out of the Clutch Sports book. And here's the thing, LeBron, probably did have a legit an injury that he probably needs to get surgery on, but that card was already played out in the 2018 finals when he hit his hand against that whiteboard after they lost that game 1. So that was already played out, and LeBron knew I don't want to get too repetitive here, so let me just talk about contemplating retirement, so to take away from the fact that I just got swept.
Now, does anybody?
Real quick before we
ahead.
get to Alex and Marcos, I will say, I think he also wants to slightly call out the Lakers and be like, okay, let's improve upon this roster.
Or I'm gonna walk.
Basically, yeah.
Marcos,
I'm just tired of excuses. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the excuse?
I saw more posts about him potentially retiring and him wanting to play with Bronny, but Bronny not wanting to play with him. And then all of a sudden the foot
Just let me live my life, Dad.
I
Is
just
that
saw,
Bronny?
I just
No.
I don't think so. I think it's valid if he was just like, hey, I want to make my own legacy. Like,
My dreams are not your dreams.
but I
He
mean,
wouldn't be where he is now if it wasn't for his dad. So
nowhere near. But I guess my point is, he and his PR team, whatever they did, they always just come up with amazing ways to just twist the story, because there was almost zero actual talk about the fact that him and his boys got swept.
Yeah.
And after them saying that they were going to blow past the Nuggets after how they played against Golden State, and then all of a sudden the Nuggets whooped their butt. And then the story is, oh, he might retire. He's old. This is old LeBron. He doesn't even know if he's going to play with his son anymore. And then, oh, his foot is hurting. At this point of the season, every superstar has an injury.
Alex,
Fair point. Fair point.
Alex, your take?
I'm not disagreeing.
you want to know who has been able to back up their talk in the playoffs so far? The Celtics. Down 3-0, battling back to a Game 7.
Well, I would
they
say-
said don't let us win a game.
Well, I would even say Jamal Murray at this point, because there
And
was
him too, yeah.
There was, he's come out and just lighting the world on fire this playoffs. But yeah.
I mean,
mean-
they asked LeBron James. So ESPN. This was after the clip that we just played. This was off air. This wasn't broadcasted like in the press conference. But ESPN asked a follow up. They asked James to elaborate on his statement. They said, when you say you have to think about stuff, what thread should we be pulling on that? LeBron James said, if I want to continue to play. Media said, as in next year. LeBron said, yeah. The media then said, you would walk away? ? LeBron James said, I got to think about it. So those were just some follow-up comments from what we just heard. 361-882-5397. We're going to continue our NBA discussion here because NBA heavy right now, obviously, with the playoffs going on. 361-882-5397. Is LeBron James going to retire? Do you believe that LeBron James would walk away from the game? 361-882-5397. Text us. Let us know your thoughts on that situation. Coming up next, though, we will continue our NBA discussion. I actually want to talk about the Nuggets and how good they played. Let's show Denver some love. And the Celtics have forced a Game 7. We'll dive into all that and more. Stick around. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll have some Cowboys discussion. There was OTAs, organized team activities. The Cowboys were on the field. We'll dive into that in 10 to 15 minutes time. We'll also talk some Texans. I know that they had their OTAs as well. We'll see how things are shaking out in Dallas and in Houston this past week.
Hi, listeners that just tuned in, by the way.
Yes.
You
Sunday
want-
Sports Rush. James, Adin, Alex, and Marcos with you. It's episode 118, and we're glad y'all guys are with us on this Memorial Day weekend. 361-882-5397. Do y'all guys think LeBron's retiring or not? Let us know on the text line.
Nah.
What would it take for the Spurs to trade away the number 1 overall pick? What kind of trade compensation would be needed? I got Omar in here on our Sports Rush Facebook page. Omar says, there's no way, in terms of marketability, Wemby is going to generate money of 2 to 3 stars. Like, it would literally have to be a top 2 player in revenue generation, jerseys, shoe, ticket sales. We know SA is going to show out for him. He's got all the hype going and hasn't played a game, so imagine if he turns out to be as projected. I think with Wemby, it's more than win right now. It's a whole building/rebuilding package.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much saying, Yeah, you need like one of the top 2 stars in the league to even think about trading away the number 1 overall pick. Good take right there from Omar. I agree. It's more than basketball.
I mean, yeah, that's every sport has become a business, and we know this. It's just the simple fact. And with a name as big as Victor Wembanyama, he's not just going to help your team. He's going to bring in a lot more money.
This ain't just U.S. dollars anymore. This is euros. This is France. This is the world now. The Spurs are about to be, once again, on a worldwide stage with people watching them from across the seas, with French press and media probably in San Antonio every single game, and with national reporters from ESPN and the like at every single game as well. This is more than basketball if you're the Spurs. This is an opportunity to make some damn money off of Wembanyama and everything he's going to bring.
And, this does mark a turning point for this franchise. This time period is a turning point for the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, with their new practice facilities, with potentially with having the number 1 overall pick and potentially getting Victor or another superstar perhaps, whether they trade the pick away. I mean, I don't know what the compensation would be. I don't think that they're looking for just more picks. I mean, we have plenty of picks. But, this is a turning point. I mean, we're looking to change this short-term rebuild that we've had the last couple seasons and turn this franchise around for the better. So
361-882-5397. Continue to weigh in on that right there. We'll take your text all show long. Last night, the Celtics defeated the Miami Heat by a final score of 104-103. It came down to the last 3 seconds of the game, and Derek White had the game-winning basket.
White will inbound. It's off to Smart for the 7th game. Could have been tipped in, but the buzzer sounded. The light was on. It'll be reviewed.
I don't think he got that in yet.
You have to protect the offensive rebounding.
Oh, he got rid of it. That's
sure
a
did.
Celtic win, and we're going to Game 7.
The Celtics are going to win. There's a Game 7 back in Boston.
Ruling on the floor is good basket. The play's under review.
So the Celtics win off of that crazy tip-in from Derek White. There is going to be a Game 7, ladies and gentlemen. The Miami Heat... They're about to choke that away, baby. The Celtics in Boston. My goodness, did anybody think that this was possible?
No, but
No.
I think the Celtics were competitive compared to the Nuggets as one of the 2 best teams in basketball left in the conference finals, and they shouldn't have ever been down 3-0.
Exactly.
And I think actually if it was flipped around a little bit and let's say Boston wins, Miami wins, Boston wins, Miami wins, all the way to Game 7 where we are now, everyone's saying, hey, Miami, the 8th seed, is somehow competing with this amazing Celtics team. So if I'm the Miami Heat, I just got to tell myself, hey, we're in a good spot. Forget the rest of the series. We are able to have a win or go home, going to the finals, or sitting our butt in Cancun for the rest of the offseason. And I think this is going to have to be a Jimmy Butler performance. And I think Charles Barkley said it the other day on their TNT after show that they have. I believe he said, Boston, when they play well, Miami cannot beat them.
Yep.
They just can't beat them.
Last night, Jason Tatum dropped 31 points. Jimmy Butler had 24, but Butler was 5 of 21 from the field. Not the best shooting night from Jimmy Buckets. He was 12 of 14 from the free throw line. That's where the majority of his points came from.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive that they've won 3 in a row, but, let's be real. They shouldn't have been down 3-0 in the first place, as Marco said. And
they just weren't playing the basketball that we've seen them play before.
Congrats, you won 3 games in a row against an A seed. That's a T seed. Good for you.
Hey, what? So now all of a sudden, what the Celtics are doing ain't impressive.
It's impressive.
Come on,
they're
man.
competitive.
Hold up. They haven't come back all the way yet.
Yeah.
So, no, it's not that
It's not the
impressive
first to win 3. It's the first to win 4.
Maybe
the Miami Heat should have thought about that before they wanted to say that they had the series won.
It's just me hating Boston sports and fans.
That's fine.
I don't even hate anybody on the Celtics. You know, Tatum and Brown. You never know what you're gonna get from them, but they've been balling out 3 games in a row. Can they do it a 4th time in a row?
I think that the Celtics team is so poor under pressure at times, and you saw it with the NBA Finals last year. They were not ready to play at that stage, and Steph Curry took advantage of it and absolutely demolished them single-handedly. And the Miami Heat were not ready to play basketball the last 3 games. They just were not ready to play basketball the last 3 games.
I would hope they. I mean, come on.
Alex,
they weren't.
I know they weren't.
And Boston. Right now, they're playing with no pressure. They didn't have any pressure. Jason Tatum said it. We don't have any pressure whatsoever because they were down 3-0.
Yeah. Alex, you want to chime in on this one?
I would disagree with that. There is not more pressure than being faced with an 8 seed down 3-0. And the fact that people are saying, oh, congrats, you're winning 3 games against an 8 seed, you should have done it to begin with. The narrative should not be we beat an 8 seed. It should be that we made history as the only team in basketball history that would be able to come back 3-0 and beat a team. You should be able to close out the series 8 seed, 7 seed. Does not matter. This is the Miami Heat we are talking about. This is a legacy franchise. They should be able to close it out. It does not matter if they're facing the 1 or 2 seed. They should have been able to close it out. They got here to begin with.
And I will say, though, in defense of the Celtics, if the Heat blow this and lose Game 7, I don't want to hear a damn thing about Jimmy Buckets anymore. I'm sorry. You can't lose going up 3-0. It just can't happen.
It would be the biggest choke job in NBA history.
I mean, Spoelstra, he's already in Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame with the 2 titles he won, earlier in his career. But Jimmy Buckets, he probably is a Hall of Famer, but it's going to hurt his legacy big time.
And he is a Hall of Famer.
Alrighty, so...
But it'll hurt his legacy, though.
Predictions, who wins Game 7? I'll just go ahead and start it.
Celtics
are winning. Celtics are winning at home.
Yeah, the Red Sox
too much momentum.
You had the Patriots come back against the Falcons. I think it's another Boston thing.
I think it's in Miami's head. They're shook. They are shook right now in Miami.
They should have won Game 6. I know they were down double digits and they rallied to come back, but that's just a tough way to lose. And I'm not going to say they're going to roll down and quit. It's going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
I do believe, but it's going to be similar to what, you remember the Spurs and Heat in 2013? How the Spurs did compete hard and almost won Game 7 after losing the heartbreaking Game 6, but,
Yeah, Duncan had a hell of a game in Game 7 that day, but LeBron dropped 37 on him. So.
And here's the thing. I disagree, Marcos, with the Celtics are bad under pressure because they are 5-0 in elimination games.
Marcos, who wins on Monday night, Game 7?
Honestly, I wanted to say that this game is going to go how Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum go, but that's just not true. And I've after running through it in my head, it doesn't matter how Jason Tatum plays. He has a Jaylen Brown. He has a Derek White that'll randomly put up 25-plus points and give them a lot of good minutes that they honestly haven't deserved at times with his play and how he plays on the defensive end and how scrappy he is. But I've kind of just worked this through my mind, and the Celtics have a harder route to losing than the Heat. So I'm going to go with the Celtics.
Interesting.
The Heat have to play a perfect game.
All right.
And Jimmy Butler needs to step up, and the Celtics don't have to be perfect right now.
361-882-5397. If you want to weigh in on that series, who wins Game 7, Celtics or Heat? Let us know. Hit us up on the text line. We have a couple of minutes left, but shout out to the Denver Nuggets. Let's get some claps for the Nuggets.
Yeah, NBA champions. NBA champions, Denver Nuggets.
Big time claps for the Nuggets. They swept the Lakers, and it was a dominating sweep. I mean, I'm not going to front, right? Jokic played out of his mind. Jokic made shots that I didn't even think were possible to make with his frame and his size and the angles that he got some shots off. That one three-pointer that he made, like, falling away with the ball basically all the way behind his head and just like, whoop, just shot it. Jokic is a beautiful man to watch play basketball. Like, it's a beautiful game
in
that he
all
plays.
the wrong ways.
And here,
In all the wrong
That's
ways.
an oxymoron. Yeah.
And here's the thing: like LeBron fans don't actually watch other teams play. And Nikola Jokic actually makes that off balance 3-pointer or that off balance shot. He does that at least once a game.
Just incredible, dude. And of course, we talked about Jamal Murray, who's had a resurgence in these playoffs, who looked absolutely phenomenal in the Western Conference Final.
And every single one of the role players on that team that have fit in absolutely perfectly.
How about
Like
KCP,
yeah,
baby?
exactly.
KCP, I said
so
this
perfect
before
for
the
that
series
team.
started. I was like, Bruce Brown and KCP are shooting very well this playoffs, and they're going to be a factor. And James kind of dismissed it. They're like, well,
I was wrong.
I'll give credit to two players in the Lakers, Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. They actually did show up. It was more, inconsistencies by LeBron and Anthony Davis than D'Angelo Russell not showing up.
As a top flight radio host, I am not afraid to admit when I was wrong, and I wish more of us did that out there. I'm taking the high road on this one, guys.
The Lakers were
taking the high road.
The Lakers, to their credit, they were a competitive team. They played competitive.
Very.
But it turned out more that they beat a Grizzlies team missing two of their three best big men, and they beat a 43-win Warriors team that had the worst road record in the league.
I mean, look, the Lakers ran into a brick wall, man. Yeah. What can you say? Like, even though LeBron was dropping 20+, even though LeBron dropped 40, I mean...
Well, he was inconsistent. That was his first actual
No, this was a Mickey Mouse
This is a
Western
very
Conference
different
final.
tone that you're singing right now, James. I remember you making excuses for him just not
a lot
that long
of
ago.
LeBron and Lakers fans thought they had the title in the bag after they beat the defending champ Warriors, and they didn't realize how good of a team the Nuggets were, and it came back and hit them.
Let
in the
me
face
admit that
like
I said that Lakers would win in 6. Let me admit that I was wrong when I said the Nuggets had no depth, and let me admit
you
that
made excuses
I was
just 10
wrong.
minutes ago.
Well, I was gonna pile.
I don't remember.
I was gonna pile on even more, but I'm glad that James is finally.
I'm willing,
seeing the
guys.
light.
I'm willing to take the high road, and I'll admit that the Nuggets are a really damn good team.
The NBA champions.
And in the finals, if it's Nuggets versus Heat or Nuggets versus Celtics, I think the Nuggets should be the favorites to win the finals.
Yeah, they're the NBA champions.
Just because I think the Heat and Celtics are gonna wear each other out this year. I thought they were gonna win either way, but I thought it was gonna be a closer finals, like in 6 or 7. But I think it's 6 or 5.
And let me just get this one little quick final note before we end the segment. NBA fans out there who are more obsessed with narratives than good basketball, I'm kind of tired of those guys.
Yep.
I'm kind of tired of it. And I get it. Narratives drive what we talk about, and it's fun to discuss. But at the end of the day, whether it's Nuggets or Heat or Nuggets and Celtics, it's going to be a good basketball series.
Man, I know, James, you wanted that, that Lakers comeback season title starting 2-10, where low seed playing team.
Now, I will just pat myself on the back real quickly as I'm literally doing that because I did call Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
No, but you had Russell.
I was not wrong.
Okay,
What happened to the high road?
So
you had it with Russ still on the team though.
I was not wrong.
I don't want to let what you said just fly by like whatever. All the LaFan boys out there.
Wow.
Like yourself.
Wow.
Are all, for the most part, are the narrative-based people, and that's why that's your explanation every single time we ask you, like, bro, why do you even like LeBron? You're a lifelong Spurs fan. Why do you ride LeBron so much?
Because I like LeBron.
Because you're like, bro, he's
LeBron
greatness
is a narrative.
and blah 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 blah.
And
he's like a walking narrative. Like you want him to win because you want to be able to say like, oh, I watched like the second greatest of all time or the greatest player of all time, and I want to see the narrative build of him right now. Oh, he's the underdog in this series, but he's gonna win anyways because he's the GOAT. That's what's going on in your brain.
He is my GOAT.
And another
Oh
thing.
my
And another thing.
He's my GOAT.
A hypocrite.
And
He's a
another thing that
hypocrite.
LeBron fans do is whenever he loses a series, they go back on Twitter and they repost highlights of when he was at the peak of his powers. Against a DeMar DeRozan in the East and all that.
Bro, as a LeBron fan,
The
you
good old
cannot
days.
talk about narratives like that, bro.
LeBron's on the Rushmore ever.
Yeah,
we
y'all guys are
acknowledge that.
talking like LeBron is a top 15 player
No,
when he's
but-
literally one of the greatest of all time.
No, but the narratives are like
fan base is
LeBron
rabid.
based.
Well, when you're the greatest player of a generation, yeah, it's going to revolve around
We
you.
can carry this on a little bit to next time. We got.
I mean, I don't get.
First of all, I don't know if he's had a better. First of all, I don't know how long his quote unquote generation lasted.
20 years.
No, it didn't.
How?
It was not LeBron's league in 2003 whenever he joined this league. It was not
20
LeBron's
years.
league.
Whose
No,
league
was
was
not.
it?
Kobe and Duncan's. The ones winning the championships.
He's right on
Okay,
that.
that's
Why
fine.
is
Hey,
it
we got
LeBron's
it.
league?
Okay, we got guys.
When was it his league?
Marcos, James,
Oh my
Alex, we
gosh.
gotta go on break. We can carry this on the next. segment.
Someone's getting a little excited in here. We will continue.
Stay tuned to First Take.
I don't want this to turn into First Take. We're better than that. We will continue to talk about, I suppose, the LeBron narrative, and we will talk about some Cowboys coming up. So keep it locked to the Sunday Sports Rush. I promise we won't fight during the break, but keep it locked. Welcome back, Sunday Sports Rush, where the discussion was continuing in between the break. I don't even know how we got there.
You were talking blasphemous.
I'm not talking blasphemous.
No.
You're making it seem as if what I am saying is totally off base when it's not, and you know it.
No, I don't know it. You said.
Well,
it's
then
been
you're
his league.
ignorant and you're oblivious.
What? No, I'm not ignorant.
Hey, this has turned into.
This is the thing, though, Marcos.
It hasn't been his.
Hey,
It was
just
not
take a
his
back
league
seat.
for
This
the
is their
first 10
show.
years.
What?
It was not his league for his first 10 years. In the
But
league.
you're acting as if the way I speak about LeBron is not the way others hold him in high regard in historical context.
He won 2 championships in 10 years.
But
his
you're
first 10 years
ignoring
in the
what
league.
I'm saying, though.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I speak of LeBron as if he's one of the best to ever play the game, and you have some kind of weird.
I agree with that.
You have
He's
some kind
he's
of
my second
weird
best player
thing
ever.
against him.
No, I think he's the second best player of all time. I just don't think that it was his league for 20 years. It's been his league for
A dozen years.
maybe the last 10.
A dozen years.
I don't know about a dozen, because the Lakers and Celtics were winning
okay.
in the late 2010s.
Now there was an 8-year.
early
So let's
2010s.
look at the 8-year window, 2012 to 2020. His first and his last titles.
Yeah, that's
So-
where I'm saying it was his league.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But anyway.
Fade down the music. That's the signal I'm giving you. So there we go. 361-882-5397. So it turned from me being a Laker fan, a LeBron fan, whatever you want to call me, to then me being a hypocrite on the air. That's what it turned into.
I've just had Jokic shooting threes in the back of my head.
That was only about the narrative thing.
Okay,
Because
but the narrative, and my point with
And
the
hypocrite was a strong word.
and my point with the whole narrative thing is this: don't act like I'm a guy who only follows narratives when I really do appreciate the game, and I've watched every
you do.
single finals since I don't even know.
It's
I almost cussed since I don't know 1998. With the Bulls and Jazz, those are my earliest sports memories.
No, you love the game and you're an amazing broadcaster.
Oh, so you
about it.
hopped on the band.
And we're not fighting. This is not a fight.
So you hopped
I
on the
love
bandwagon
Marcos.
with
We just
MJ.
gotta gotta have therapy on the air. This is
But
what's
no,
happening right now.
How are the Cowboys OTAs doing?
We'll talk Cowboys OTAs in a little bit. I wanna.
Great segue.
I wanted to pile on, and even I want to move on.
Okay. Well, we'll move on whenever I say to move on because I'm the host of the show. So that's what I'm gonna do real quick. All right. So I want to get this out on the air. All right. And it's no shot against anybody, and I'm not mad at anybody.
No, I should say this real quick. I shouldn't have called him a hypocrite on air. First of all, so are you listening? We're good.
It's fine.
Yeah, we're good.
We're not fighting. It's all good.
It's just
I'm a LeBron
Yes.
fan, and I defend LeBron, and it's fine.
Skip.
And I think, it is getting very skippy in here, okay?
don't do that, Skip.
Now, Adin, I'll apologize to you because I was being a little snappy.
I'm
so
just
my
vibing,
bad
bro.
about that. Cowboys OTAs. 3 minutes to talk Cowboys OTAs. What happened? They practiced.
That's what OTAs are.
There was people who didn't participate: Trevon Diggs, Dante Fowler, Malik Hooker, DeMarcus Lawrence, Zach Martin. Those guys didn't participate, but some of the rookies did, and that was pretty cool. So one of the interesting notes that happened during OTAs was running back Deuce Vaughn. He ended up catching a 45-yard touchdown pass from Will Grier in 7-on-7. Amazing job, I guess you could say that. Kelvin Joseph, cornerback, second-round pick, who hasn't really lived up to hype and expectations. He was practicing at a different position this past week. They actually had him playing safety. So I guess they're trying to just give him a shot to produce anywhere.
Yeah.
I guess trying to give him something to do. Hopefully they can, get him going in that aspect. Dak Prescott did have some interesting comments to say on OTAs, and particular Mike McCarthy's offense. So Dak Prescott, as I'm pulling up the quote right here in front of me, Dak Prescott pretty much said that there is a little bit of different verbiage with the Mike McCarthy offense and everything that's going on, but generally the offensive playbook is staying the same. So here's Dak Prescott, quote, "There are some changes. It's not like we're going to throw away our playbook and try to start over, anything like that. Obviously, we've had some success. There is good there." So Dak saying they're not necessarily throwing out the entire Kellen Moore playbook, just adding some wrinkles from Mike McCarthy and, of course, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. So there we go. So Dak had some good things to say, and the Cowboys have had a top 5 scoring offense each of the last 2 seasons. Led the NFL in points per game, 31.2 scored. Yards per game, 407 in 2021. So Dallas just getting the installation of the Mike McCarthy offense. That's the bottom line at OTAs this week. And, of course, Brandon Cooks took some reps, as well as new cornerback Stephon Gilmore. So it's just about getting guys acclimated to the new system, new players acclimated to the Cowboys' way of doing things. So there we go. That is our OTAs discussion. Oh, my goodness. There we go. Are we good or not? Is everybody good in here?
I'm chilling.
I feel.
It's between you three. I've been vibing the entire time.
All righty. Well, I love you guys, and we had a nice little discussion. So whenever we come back, we got some NFL headlines. We will dive into that. Stick around. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Good morning. Corpus Christi, Coastal Bend, listeners worldwide. Sunday Sports Rush, episode 118, News Talk KEYS, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. It's James Espinosa. We got Adin Ducker back there.
Cougars, I love Cougars.
We got Alex Weister in here.
Hello.
And we got Marcos Matakin in the building.
What's up?
We are into hour number 2 of the Sunday Sports Rush. Hour number 1 was hot. It was contentious. It was filled with takes. But at the end of the day, E-L-E. Y'all know what that means, guys?
No.
E-L-E?
No.
Everybody love everybody. That is a quote from Will Ferrell. What movie was that from? Was that Anchorman? E-L-E? It might have been. It might have been. But yes, everybody love everybody. And in the midst of battle, in the midst of sports, in the midst of takes, sometimes we throw barbs. Sometimes we throw jabs.
Yes.
Sometimes some of us walk away with a black eye. Sometimes some of us walk away with a bloody lip, a bloody nose.
Last week, James keyed my car.
But you know what?
True story, I can attest.
Wait. How'd you find out? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're all good. We're here. We're chilling. 361-882-5397. Get your takes into the text line. Question of the day. If you're the Spurs, what would it take to trade away the number 1 overall pick in the draft? And we got some reactions here. I'm going to read Adrian's. Adrian's in here. Adrian says it really depends on if he's just the, quote, missing piece, or you plan and have the means to build around Wemby. If you're not sold as him being the cornerstone of your team for a decade, sell high while the market is booming. Interesting. I think the Spurs are sold on him, though. I think the Spurs will draft him. And fun little aside, I already ordered a Wemby jersey. This is not a joke. I ordered a Wembanyama jersey.
Spurs?
Spurs, Wembanyama, black Spurs, Wembanyama jersey, and the number 1.
Where'd you buy it from?
I think you can custom make jerseys
Yes.
on NBA
From
shop
like the
or
NBA
whatever.
shop?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I had to spell out Wembanyama, and I put just number 1.
And now I did pose the question, do they have jersey assurance if he does end up going to a different team?
It will. Look, I don't foresee that, but hopefully it doesn't happen.
Yes.
And if it does happen, it's still a cool jersey to have.
Just
like in an alternate timeline.
carve out the lettering and just have Spurs 1.
No, just wear it. Just be like, yo, this is like the jersey. It would be like the World Series hats or the Super Bowl hats and shirts they send to like those poor countries.
Yeah. Oh, of the team that didn't win?
Yeah, it would be like that. I would have one of those. It'd be a Wembanyama Spurs jersey. And people would be like, yo, where'd you get that? I'd be like, I ordered it. So anyways, 361-882-5397. Get into the text line. Let's go ahead and let's talk some NFL. Let's dive into a little bit of headlines here because, boy, oh, boy, there was kind of a lot that happened this week in the NFL. First of all, the Cardinals cut DeAndre Hopkins, and they're taking a $22 million cap hit to go along with that. Now, this happens every time a big player gets cut.
Yeah.
The Cowboys' name gets mentioned for some reason.
I really haven't seen them get mentioned as much in this.
Yeah, I haven't.
I saw a report that just came across my phone from Sports Illustrated that says, DeAndre to Dallas, ? Could it happen? Jerry's interested. But we all know what that is.
I think that more happened because that's in your circle. And usually if it actually is a bigger narrative, it'll pop up in probably like mine or Marco's circles because we aren't focused on the Cowboys.
I also think it's just sometimes players will throw around the Cowboy name.
Yeah.
Just to drive up maybe their market value to entice other teams to jump in quicker in fear that the Cowboys might get this guy. It's kind of like when people always mention the Yankees or mention the Lakers as a suitor. You know what I mean? It's just that's what people do. They want to throw the Cowboys name out there.
Yeah, narratives.
So Hopkins is there. On the free agent block. Where does he go?
Houston.
A reunion?
No, he doesn't.
Well,
but
there is some legitimate smoke to that fire
there
because
is.
he did post on Instagram. His Instagram story is him outside of the Houston Stadium, and I don't know why he would be there for any other reason besides either just to show up or talk with somebody.
Oh, hold on, Alex. He probably has the case of Hardenitis and his affection for Houston strippers like Harden does. So maybe
I
that's
doubt that.
Hardenitis.
Hardenitis.
But okay.
But to Alex's point, no, there has been a lot of legitimacy, and there's been multiple Texans players openly tweeting at DeAndre. Laramie Tunsil and him, I believe they were really close whenever they were both on the Texans together.
Yeah.
Laramie's openly trying to recruit him over to the Texans, and on his dashboard it showed the song that he was listening to. It's called Short Term Memory. And I don't know if y'all remember.
So many
It was a lot of
messages.
bad blood whenever he left, but that was
because of Bill O'Brien.
Yes.
It was all Bill O'Brien oriented.
And the other executive that they canned, what was his name out?
Easterby.
Easterby, yeah.
Yes. Oh, interesting. So I didn't know there was actually a lot of smoke to that Texans rumor.
Here's the thing I'm a little worried about. I mean, I like the team and all that, but I think there was a report that DeAndre Hopkins wanted to play with the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
It's
Patrick
not.
Mahomes,
That was just a
Hurts.
report of him saying those are quarterbacks
Herbert.
he'd like to have
But,
throw.
Here's the thing: the Chiefs' best. I mean, they have Travis Kelce as their number one option, right? But
Yes.
the Chiefs' best receiver is what, Juju?
Juju.
Oh no, he went
He's
to
on the Patriots
He's
now.
on the Patriots.
So who's
But
the
it
Chiefs'
was
best receiver?
Kadarius Toney.
So DeAndre
Michael
Hopkins fills the receiver.
Didn't he go to the
need.
Jets?
Yeah, Mecole left, I think.
So yeah, I don't even know who their number one
So
is.
Well,
according,
last season their best receiver was Juju, and
Yes.
he's gone. So now it's like DeAndre Hopkins perfectly fills that void.
according to this article on ESPN, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Patriots have been among the teams reportedly interested in pursuing DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, Ravens, please.
So in 3 seasons, Hopkins had 2,696 yards, 17 touchdowns on 221 receptions, 64 catches for the team, and he had 3 touchdowns last year. Hopkins missed the first 6 games last year after being suspended for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. So interesting. We'll see what happens with that. He is a free agent, and he is free to go wherever the hell he chooses and whichever team he wants.
I think he's going to Buffalo.
Next item on our docket. John Gruden's in the news. Did y'all guys see this story about John Gruden?
Is there more emails or what?
No, it's not more emails, but John Gruden is helping the Saints. So John Gruden helped the Saints and new quarterback Derek Carr install the offense. Gruden is helping Carr and the Saints offense with offensive installation. Very interesting. Alex, you're the Saints guy. Tell us a
Indeed,
little
I
bit
am.
more on this.
It was only for the week as far as I am concerned. I don't think it's going to be much longer than that. I don't think we have any plans on bringing him in, nor do I think he would really fit onto the team anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, how much does he really move the needle in terms of replacing Dennis Allen, who I don't think we have any plans of replacing? I mean, coming in as offensive coordinator to replace Pete Carmichael, who I think is already out the door, I mean, it doesn't really move much. I think it's a good idea to help bring in somebody who's coached him, who's talked to him, who knows his play style, how he practices. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think we need him on the coaching staff necessarily. So bringing him in, helping us acclimate him, I think it's a good thing.
I think this kind of, I don't know. It's just like, wasn't he a persona non grata with the NFL after everything that happened with the emails and such? I don't know. I guess I never saw him being associated with another NFL head or another NFL team. Maybe this opens another door for him, possibly down the line to maybe be an assistant coach or something. You never know.
I think he's going to try to just weasel his way back into like being uncanceled so he could go back on TV.
Oh, maybe that's a possibility as well. Another NFL news headline, Green Bay is set to host the 2025 NFL Draft. Ooh. Just wanted to throw that out there. It'll be the first time that the Packers will be hosting the NFL Draft. So that's pretty interesting news. 2025 it's actually the draft's going to take place at Lambeau Field.
Oh, that sounds like an absolute blast. Oh boy,
so that's going to be kind of cool.
Can't wait for it to be absolutely frigid.
I was about to say early spring in Wisconsin.
Still frigid.
Yeah,
we're talking like below 30.
and Green Bay is barely more than half the size of Corpus, right?
Yes.
Man.
Yeah, in terms of population, Green Bay is like not even near Corpus's population.
It's still a huge city, though. It's just the cities aren't just as populated there.
Yeah.
It's just how those up north cities are.
Another NFL headline, Tom Brady has reached an agreement to buy a stake in the Raiders franchise. So Tom Brady kind of getting himself into the ownership game a little bit.
Man, as if he already didn't own the Raiders.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one.
The Tuck rule.
Yeah, the Tuck rule, of course. And then more things here up on our NFL headlines. Austin Eckler is going to stay with the Chargers.
Love it.
He's staying with a $2 million incentive, so Austin Eckler will be back with the Chargers. He will get to be coached under Kellen Moore's offense, so Kellen Moore will have a weapon out there to utilize with the Chargers. That's nice.
And I guarantee he's going to be the number one overall draft pick.
In fantasies,
in fantasy, yeah.
Really? You think so?
In PPR leagues,
yeah.
Should be as a workhorse.
Especially in leagues like ours that were PPR. Jonathan Taylor's out the window at this point. It's going to be Austin Eckler. I don't see why I wouldn't.
Eckler has a history of staying healthy, too.
Yes.
Which is key.
Don't forget Dameon Pierce.
No.
What?
Dameon Pierce is a good running back.
Maybe a contention for a third or fourth rounder, but not a first.
Last NFL headline here before we hit the break. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo had foot surgery back in March, and there's questions on when he will be ready. Of course, he signed a 3-year, $72 million deal with the Las Vegas Raiders on March 17th. So Josh McDaniels says he's going through his process just like we knew he would. So the Raiders were anticipating this. Garoppolo suffered the injury back in Week 13 with the San Francisco 49ers last season, and that's what led to Brock Purdy taking the starting job and running with it the rest of the way.
So you think Jimmy G's handsomeness is going to inspire the Raiders defense to play better?
Nope.
As opposed to being the last defense in the AFC?
Nope. Probably not. Probably not. And
because that's their ceiling, like 8-win team.
Yeah,
oh, whoa.
It really is.
Whoa, might be a little bit less than that.
Oh, okay.
Ceiling 8? Nah, I agree with that.
I think 8's about
because
fair.
they still have players.
I think 8 and 9.
They're way more talented than they play.
7 and 10.
Well, that's because of their coaching.
As of right now,
McDaniels is not a good head coach,
No,
and that
he's
defense is still really bad outside of Crosby.
And that's going to wrap it up for our NFL headlines segment. When we come back, ESPN dropped a fun little article, and we've been kind of discussing our thoughts on it all day long. What would it take for the Spurs to trade away the number 1 overall pick? ESPN has 3 trade scenarios, and we discuss all 3 trade scenarios after the break.
Sunday Sports Rush, episode 118. James, Adin, Alex, and Marcos with you. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk some Texas high school baseball playoffs because we're getting down to the end. Some teams were eliminated over the weekend. Some local teams survived. We'll talk about all that and more coming up in 15 minutes time. Right now, our question of the day was, if you're the Spurs, what would it take for you to trade away the number 1 overall pick? Essentially the right to draft Victor Wembanyama in this June's NBA draft. And ESPN just so happened to drop an article. It's called NBA Draft Hypothetical Trades for Future Top Pick Victor Wembanyama. Now, ESPN does go on to preface, we know the Spurs aren't actually going to trade the number 1 overall pick. But what if a trade offer landed on the desk of Spurs general manager Brian Wright that at least forced the organization to briefly consider it? And that's was the premise of my question to the audience. What would make you consider this? So here is hypothetical trade scenario number 1. This trade scenario is called the Process 2.0. The San Antonio Spurs would get Joel Embiid. The Sixers would get the number 1 overall pick, Toronto's 2024 first-round pick, Doug McDermott, and Devontae Graham. Does that at all intrigue anybody in this room as hypothetical trade scenario number 1, the Spurs getting Joel Embiid?
No, because the simple fact that the Spurs have to give anything more than that first-round pick is already bad in itself. They shouldn't have to.
So ESPN says it would instantly shift the Spurs into a competitive mindset with Embiid in his prime, cap space, and a draft pick haul from last summer's DeJounte Murray trade they could use to build a team around Embiid to compete in the West.
I think that's a horrible trade for both sides.
Yeah.
The Spurs are not competing with just Joel Embiid right now.
And Embiid hasn't even gone to the conference finals yet. And, and then in the West, too.
So that one's just an automatic no on Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I think the Sixers are hanging up the phone and losing the Spurs' number if they even offer that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hypothetical pick number 2. This one comes from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay.
The title of this pick is The Thunder Make Use of Their Draft Picks. The San Antonio Spurs in this hypothetical scenario would get Chet Holmgren, the 2023 number 12 pick, 2024 Rockets first rounder, which is top 4 protected, 2025 Sixers first rounder, which is top 6 protected, and the 2026 Clippers first rounder. And in return, Oklahoma City gets the number 1 overall pick.
Way too little. And those protections are way too scary, especially that Rockets one, top 4 protected. Nah, I'm not a big fan of that one.
Yeah, the Rockets might stink for a while. I hate that. I hate that trade. I'm not gonna lie.
And only getting Chet Holmgren, you need to get another player.
Who already had a major injury.
You need to get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in a trade package.
It would have to be for Shea if you do something with the Thunder, because there's no way that the Spurs, who already have a ton of draft picks, are gonna give up a potential number 1 overall pick and getting a potential superstar, what you think might be a superstar, might be the best player in the league one day. You'd hope, if you're going to be picking that high.
I'm a big Chet Holmgren fan. I liked what he did with Gonzaga in NCAA play. Obviously, I liked what I saw out of him, and even early on, I think he had some pretty good summer league highlights and stuff. But whenever what did he do? He broke his foot or he did something.
Yeah, he had a foot injury.
He hurt his foot defending LeBron.
Oh my God, that's crazy! I do remember now. That happened so early though in the season. Damn, that happened
It
no
was,
matter
it
how.
was in that off-season rec league or something like that.
Oh
Remember?
yeah, dude. Yeah, they were just playing pickup ball.
Yeah.
Oh, that is insane.
But no matter how much you like Chet, there's no way that if you're the Spurs, you push the rebuild that much farther down the road to get just more picks.
Now, the last trade scenario is one that has already been discussed, and it's the one that made the rounds on social media. This one is titled the 2022 Rookie of the Year on the Move. The Spurs would be trading with the Orlando Magic. The Spurs would get Paulo Banchero, Jalen Suggs, 2 first-round picks, number 6 and number 11 in this year's draft, and the Magic will get the number 1 overall pick. Now,
I'll say something about this one. I don't think San Antonio hangs up the phone right away on this pick or on this trade proposal because you're getting Banchero, who balled out this past year as the Rookie of the Year.
He did.
He was 1-1. He did show that he could hang with the NBA. You get Jalen Suggs, who's not a bad player in his own right. And then you still get 2 first-rounders, the number 6 and number 11 picks. That number 6 pick could be Amen Thompson or a Sir Thompson. That number 11 pick could be a Jarris Walker or someone of that ilk in the NBA draft.
And you can move up with both of those picks.
Exactly. I don't think the Spurs should hang up the phone right away on this one. I think this one is the most enticing out of all 3.
And the reason why I say they don't hang up immediately is because of the rebuttal that I gave. If you swap out Suggs for Cole Anthony, that is something that I would debate a little bit more because Cole Anthony is more established. He's shown more. He's a better shooter. I think he would provide more than Jalen Suggs right now. And I think it makes that package a little bit better and maybe one more first-round pick next year. And I think that would be a package I could pull the trigger on.
If there was another one next year, then I think the Spurs have to take that. But I think a second would get it done for the Spurs. I think it would because, I mean, you're in a position where unless they think that Wembanyama is absolutely untouchable, then they that's an amazing trade. If the Magic calls you and offers that, the Spurs might have dropped to 6 anyways. That was a possibility.
That
in the
was
draft
our
lottery.
worst case scenario.
So all of a sudden, you'd go from potentially getting the 6th overall pick to getting the last year's first overall pick, this year's Rookie of the Year, a good young player in Jalen Suggs, the 6th pick that you could have gotten anyways, and then the 11th pick to get another good young piece, or maybe you could even trade it away to get a really good starter or a role player, something like that.
Adin, what are your thoughts on the last trade scenario for Paolo Banchero, Jalen Suggs, and 2 first-round picks?
I'm still not budging. Whenever you have the prospect labeled as potentially even a better prospect than LeBron.
That's what they're saying. I've heard people say that.
You can't let that opportunity slip through your fingers.
So there we go. 361-882-5397. We got some more reaction in here on our on my Facebook feed on the Sports Rush 1440. We got Spencer in here. Spencer says it's a good question. Only a top 5 player would be good here. A top 5 non-injury prone player, actually. So he wants someone who's not injury prone. Benjamin is also reacting to this. 361-882-5397. Benjamin says, I wouldn't trade. There will be growing pains, but if the Spurs keep their young talent with the addition of Victor and continue to build their team with smart draft picks, they can try and use the blueprint of the past to hopefully make another run of great success. Easier said than done, but if Victor's as good as they say he is, the Spurs will be one of the luckiest franchises in NBA history, being able to draft one of the best centers / power forward prospects of 3 generations in Robinson, Duncan, and Wembanyama. I hope it works. Go Spurs, go. That's a good take, Benjamin. And thank you for getting in. Take. I mean, it would be you would have to be extremely lucky. Extremely lucky for Victor Wembanyama to work out the way Robinson did and Duncan did. And that's why I'm a little hesitant, because does luck really strike 3 times like that? How? I mean, you think about teams. I'm crossing sports here, but think about teams like the Packers, right? They went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Now they're going to Jordan Love, right? You know, you think about stuff like that, right? It's hard to get lucky 3 times.
I just think that
it's hard to get lucky 3 times.
The Spurs, I like to think that they are being rewarded currently for playing the right style of basketball, you know, playing team-oriented basketball. I like to think that this is just us, the basketball gods, rewarding this franchise for being,
I would hope so,
being as professional as any organization.
Looks like Adin,
sports league.
Adin's on the line. Oh wait, never mind, he's not. Okay, there's the hard out music. I thought Adin was gonna throw somebody on the line right there. 361-882-5397. If you got any takes, if you want to call in, get in here. We'll be with you till 11 o'clock. If you want to hit us up on the text line, hit us up as well. We're talking Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, some possible trade scenarios, all that good stuff. So make sure you get in on the text line, 361-882-5397. When we come back, we'll talk some Texas high school baseball. Ray is eliminated. Sinton was in a dogfight.
London advances. Oh, my goodness. There's tons to talk about. We'll break it down when we come back on the Sunday Sports Rush. Sunday Sports Rush, episode 118. James, Adin, Alex, and Marcos with you. We got about 30 minutes left in the show. 361-882-5397. Ryan L. was in here on the text line. Shout out to Ryan. Ryan's talking about LeBron. Ryan says LeBron's not retiring. He's doing the same thing Tom Brady did the first time. The most I could see happening is that he maybe goes to another team. All right. I like that. Yeah, maybe threaten retirement. Come back, force the hand of the Lakers to maybe pick up some more guys. I can see that. It's a ploy. It's a play out of the clutch playbook, like Adin said earlier.
I still think, man, he's going to play his last year as a Laker. It's probably not going to – I don't think they're going to win the championship. I think they'll be in the playoffs. But he's going to sign a one-year deal with whoever drafts Bronny.
Which
and that's going to be the end of his career.
Which could be the Spurs.
Yeah.
And on that topic,
Spurs have a ton of first-round picks.
And on that topic, something that popped up in my head, how much would it affect his legacy if he strong-arms the Lakers into drafting his kid?
Ooh.
Well, I don't think the Lakers, they shouldn't be in the lottery next year. Bronny's going to be a lottery pick, a top 10 pick.
Yeah, he's probably going to be.
I don't think he's going to be the number one or two overall, but he's going to be a top 10 pick. And so
He'll be, yeah, for sure, like top 13 lottery, I'd say.
Yeah, he's a lottery pick for
He'd be
sure.
probably like picks 7 through 13.
It still depends on how his freshman year goes.
Yeah,
And
of course.
That's attainable.
Yeah, but you got to think I think the team drafting him is going to probably get LeBron James.
He might be buns in college.
It's a package deal.
That's a huge possibility, by the way.
I don't-
be.
I
There's
don't
a lot of highly ranked
He's going to
prospects
what,
that are.
USC?
USC.
That's tough.
Well, USC's they've been since is Enfield the guy from Florida Gulf Coast? Is he still there?
I believe he's still there.
I mean, UFC's always been a competitive team, so it's not like they're a bad basketball.
That's where
team.
Evan Mobley went to school, and a couple, I forgot who else, but yeah.
But there's still no guarantee that he's gonna perform in college whatsoever.
No.
I mean, there's tons of highly ranked prospects coming out of college that aren't good in college.
Well. I think he's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be like light up like Zion or Anthony Davis, but but
I think he'll be decent. So we'll see what happens with that.
He should be, yeah.
361-882-5397. Let us know your thoughts on any and all things sports. Let's go ahead and talk some Texas high school baseball, because this past weekend we had a lot going on. And let's first start off with the Ray Texans. So go ahead and hit that theme song that I was asking for, Adin.
What theme song?
You know which one I'm talking about.
I don't
Goldberg.
Oh.
Goldberg.
Okay. Hold on.
Goldberg. Goldberg.
All right, give me just a second.
I'm waiting.
This show is horrible.
Goldberg.
It happens once a show.
The Ray Texans got jackhammered and speared out of the playoffs.
Wow, those are Goldberg's moves, right?
2 finishers right there. And you know what? It was a good season for the Ray Texans. I know I'm talking in jest here. I know I'm making puns about the whole Goldberg thing, but they lost in Game 3 yesterday, 6-2 to Bernie Champion, out in Jordanton, however you say it. I've heard it say twice or 2 different ways, but whatever. Tomato. And they're out. Regional semifinalists once again, back-to-back years. Last year they fell to Georgetown, who eventually won the 5A state championship. This year they fall to Bernie Champion and the Gage Goldberg-led Bernie Champion.
I wouldn't even say he led them.
He did pretty good yesterday. I think he got a couple of big base hits.
Only good game though.
Couple of big base hits.
Who is their leadoff hitter for
Ballin.
Champion?
Yeah, their shortstop.
Jordan
he
Ballin.
was pretty good.
What was his name? What was his name? He had like a couple.
Jordan
triple.
Ballin.
He's committed to
No.
UTSA.
No,
That's
but there
the
was
shortstop.
but there was another guy that was getting on base as well.
Well, either
I think he was
way.
their outfielder, cool.
Cool, yeah, him.
Yeah, center fielder.
I listened to the games 1 and 3 because I listened to games 3 on the way to Rockport. Alex, I need because you watched game 2, you broadcasted that one. I need your insights on what happened there because that felt like that was the game that turned the tide in this series.
It absolutely was. It was just the simple fact that Ray was playing in the same stadium that they lost the series to Georgetown to. They just don't know how to play there. They just don't. It was mistake after mistake. There was costly errors, and the one that ultimately lost them the game was the opportunity. I believe it was in the 6th when they had a chance to tie up the game. They had a runner on third. They had one out, and they got a pop fly, and the runner tagged up, ran about halfway, stutter stepped, leaned back towards third, and then just decided to go back, when if he would have just committed, he would have absolutely tied up the game and potentially helped the Ray Texans win.
So it was some slight hesitation on the runner.
Yes.
That cost them big time.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate. We followed the Ray team, of course, all season long. Very great squad. They just fell short this one time against Bernie Champion. So now Bernie Champion will play Leander Rouse in the Region 4 5A final.
I mean, that basically ends our coverage for 5A.
Yeah, we're basically done with all the Corpus CCISD schools.
And while they got the satisfaction of knowing that they lost to the state champion, it's hard for me to see Bernie Champion.
Ray had an opportunity to win this series.
They did, and I mean they had opportunities to beat Georgetown last year, but this Bernie Champion team I don't think is equipped to make a run.
I think that
state title.
I think that Friendswood team that lost the state last year, I think that's the team that's probably going to win it.
We'll see what happens.
At least.
Whoever's in Region 1 and 3 is likely going to win it because they still have some pretty highly ranked teams, some very good teams left.
Speaking of a very competitive series, Sinton snuck by Davenport in a 3-game series. Sinton actually dropped game 1. They won game 2 by 1 run, and then they win game 3 by 1 run. All 3 games in this series decided by 1 run.
This is the biggest scare that they've had in at least 2 years. I don't even know if the series against Cal Allen was as big of a scare because we were at that. It never really felt like they were out of the game or never in control in that.
I mean, it got scary that final inning against Cal Allen, but they pulled through.
But it didn't feel like they were ever out of control.
Yeah.
It felt like they were in the driver's seat.
I agree with Alex. I think
I
think Sinton was in the driver's seat that game against Cal Allen last year, but the fact that Davenport beat them in game 1, the fact that Davenport had the tying run on third in game 2 and Sinton had to escape that inning. Davenport had bases loaded yesterday in the last inning, and
we're 10 to 15 feet short of a grand slam.
Yeah, I mean, Sinton got pushed to the wire.
That's what they needed, though.
And that was a tough challenge, and we actually have some audio from head coach of the Sinton Pirates, Adrian Alanis. This is courtesy of Len Hayward of the Caller Times. Here's Coach Alanis talking about what he learned about his team this past weekend.
Well, I learned a lot that the game of baseball will never give you the things that you want, and just the fact that we were able to overcome a little bit more, and the depth that we have within our pitching staff finally was able to showcase itself throughout the series that we were in. So I'm really proud of the grit and the efforts that we were able to go out there in doing today. We did not play very good baseball all the way throughout this series, which is a little disappointing, but finding a way to win regardless of what the score is a true testament of how our kids competed tonight.
And it's true. They fought, they battle tested, they won 3-2. Adin Moody was the winning pitcher. Sinton had a big home run from Blake Mitchell, who is literally a top first-round prospect. Like, he could go in the top 10 of the Major League Baseball draft.
It's very possible that, as you said earlier on in the season, he may not even step foot on that LSU campus.
He might not. He might be a first-round pick.
He is so good on it, both hitting, pitching. It doesn't matter. He is just an absolute monster.
And I think what was the side fact of this series was that Sinton had the championship medal.
Yes.
That,
they needed a series like this to make themselves look human because it has been too easy for them.
And I'll be honest, though, like, I am slightly worried that other teams, are going to be like, oh my, like, the Sinton team's beatable, like, and they'll have more confidence against them. So, but shout out to Davenport, though. This is their third year playing baseball, and I think, I think next season we're going to see Sinton's going to see this team again.
Probably so.
But Davenport, great series, great competitive,
great up and coming program.
Yeah, that was very competitive, but
that was your best shot. You lost.
Love that. That was good.
I was gonna play it for Jokic. That was supposed, Alex. sounder was supposed to be for Jokic against the Lakers.
I kind of figured.
But we didn't get to all that. So
another news item here from the Texas high school baseball slate this past weekend. London defeated Hallettsville 5-2 in a one-game playoff.
Yeah.
London advances to the
regional final.
3A regional final, and they will face district rival Santa Gertrudis Academy out of Kingsville, who won a 3-game series against Columbus. SGA won 5-3 yesterday against Columbus. So those two teams will battle for the right to go to state. So no matter what, from Class 3A Region 4, it'll either be London or Santa Gertrudis Academy. Someone from this area will be represented up at the state championships. So that's a good sign right there. Robstown, of course, lost to Bernie. They had a difficult time with Bernie yesterday in Game 3. They got run-ruled. I believe it was 12-1 the final score.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Bernie's one of those teams that was up there last year with Sinton and Cal Allen. It was like one of these three teams is going to be the one that makes the run at the state title. It's just a matter of who out of those three can rise.
So now next week it's Sinton versus Bernie in 4A for the right to go to the state semifinals, and then in 3A it's London versus Santa Gertrudis Academy. Winner goes to the state semifinals in 3A. So we got 3 local teams left. Sinton, London, Santa Gertrudis Academy. At least one of those is guaranteed to go to Austin or Round Rock.
And I'll give a shout out to the ladies in softball. We have Callan softball and Santa Gertrudis Academy softball in the states. So congratulations.
Congrats, big
Santa
congrats.
Gertrudis has always been a solid program. This Callan team's been mowing through people. This Callan team, I think they have a nice shot.
Can I tell my Goldberg story real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so Goldberg was at the game on Thursday night, and, Bill Goldberg, WWE, WCW superstar, he's there because his son Gage is the starting catcher of Bernie Champion. And when I was doing my pregame prep, I saw the name Gage Goldberg, and I was like, huh. I was like, yeah, Goldberg, they do live up there. His son plays football. And I was like, that has to be him. And so I was thinking in my head, Goldberg might be in Corpus tonight. Lo and behold, he was. He just casually strolled in, all cool and chill, took his seat. For the first 6 innings, nobody bothered him. But then the last 2 innings, and this is something that perturbed me just a little bit here. The last 2 innings, people just would not stop approaching him. At first, it started in between innings, which was cool. I mean, I get it. But then it just got to the point where even during the actual game of play, they were bothering him. It got so bad that when Goldberg's son was batting, there was people clamoring for autographs. There was one old man who showed up with a Goldberg pop figurine and asked Goldberg to sign an autograph. Now,
and also,
what is going too far? Like where do we draw this line? Like, dude, he's watching his son.
And also, too, Bernie was losing pretty good.
Yeah,
and he's not in the best mood.
Like, where do you draw the line, man? I get that we don't see celebrity too often here in Corpus Christi, but man, like, it gave me cringe watching it.
I had my eye on him,
and I was just like, ugh. I don't know.
I saw him at Game 2, and I can't recall a single person talking to him. It also seemed like he came in a lot more inconspicuously, and nobody really noticed him because he was not there when the game
was. He wearing
started.
like a fake mustache and wig?
No, he looked the exact same as the picture you sent from Game 1. It's just he came in a little bit after the game started. He wasn't right in the front. He was sort of like right in the middle of the crowd, and people sort of filled in around him for the.
It must be such a pain in the ass to be a celebrity like that.
Because he was sitting in the front and bottom, right?
Oh, so front row Joe, dude.
And he was not in that spot.
He was very accessible to anybody. And look, I get the kids. The kids are cool. But when you have grown-ass adults...
Well,
bro,
they're his demographic, though. So.
Yeah,
I
and
get
that
it.
figurine, they did not bring that to the game. They went home to get that.
I got a feeling they did. It just bothered me. Those Corpus Christi fleas surrounding Goldberg.
He's not even like the biggest celebrity by far. Not really.
In terms of wrestling,
He's up there.
he's up there.
For wrestling, obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, dude, it's gold.
And Corpus has a big wrestling.
He's
base.
like The Rock and Stone
True.
Cold. I would say he's in that level.
I wouldn't.
don't know.
Nah.
That high, he's tier 2.
Dude, The
Okay.
Rock and Stone Cold are like the goats.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
tier 2.
he's tier 2. Tier 2's fair, but still, leave him alone,
Did y'all-
man.
did
I
y'all-
felt bad for Goldberg.
Did y'all ever notice that Dwayne Johnson looks like The Rock?
Wow. No way.
We should do like
No way.
top 10 wrestlers or something.
You know,
one day.
and Stone Cold, he's not too far away from here as well. He's from Edna and all that.
So there we go. Just
Yeah, Texas knows how to make them wrestle.
some Texas high school baseball talk, some Goldberg talk. Interesting week here in Corpus Christi. When we come back, I got a story to tell. One of the best sports stories of this calendar year. Stick around. It's the Sports Grab Bag. Sunday Sports Rush, episode 118. It's the last segment. James, Adin, Alex, and Marcos with you. We appreciate y'all, boys and girls, getting in here. 361-882-5397. It's a sports grab bag where pretty much stuff that was on the cutting room floor gets discussed here. We want to give it its time. Adin, I know you want to take a quick moment to remember someone who has fallen.
Yeah. All right, I got the sad music, man. It's been 7 years to the day since we lost Harambe. It's a huge loss. Dude, wow. Dude, I'm actually, wow.
Adin, this ain't a joke. Adin is tearing up back there. And yes, it was 7 years to the day where Harambe was shot and killed after, I don't even know how a 3-year-old got in there. But he did, and shot and killed.
Yeah,
Harambe.
I mean, they couldn't even give him tranquilizer. They just shot the port. Oh, man,
Shoot to kill.
You know, actually,
I've always said
Way
that.
to thrill.
You know, I'm not as spiritual as other people, but I've always said, you know, in the afterlife, he is hanging with Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin is taking care of our buddy.
Yeah, of course.
Alex, wait, dude, Alex.
He's giving him tummy rubs.
you know, some people unironically say that like Harambe dying is like the fall of
civilization, of man,
like when it started, because
Wow.
it just seems like the last couple years have just been.
Well, it was 2016.
Yeah,
This was
2016. Seems like so long ago. That's
And then
crazy.
What was happening in 2016?
I mean, somebody became our president, but I'm not.
Oh
gonna go
yeah,
there.
that's when we started hating each other, right?
2016,
2016 is when it started.
I was 24 years old. 25?
Really?
25?
Jeez.
No,
Yeah.
you're older than that.
26. Yeah, whatever. Anyways,
R.I.P. Harambe.
R.I.P..
Never forget. You'll always have a place in our hearts.
I want to talk about this real quick because it's a great story. Luton Town is going to the Premier League. Luton Town was in the 5th tier of English football 9 years ago. So when I say 5th tier, that is pretty much semi-pros. They weren't even professionals in the English Football Association. They had to work their way up, get promoted. They climbed the ladder, and yesterday they had the playoff. It was Luton Town versus Coventry. Winner gets the last spot in the Premier League heading into next season. I have the audio. Coventry needed to make a penalty kick to tie it and continue penalty kicks, but then this happened.
131 Coventry games, no goals. And he's missed it. Luton Town will be a Premier League club next season. Promoted back to the Football League only 8 years ago. It is an incredible tale. The fall and the rise of the Hatters is complete.
Crazy.
Luton Town are into the Premier League, and Coventry City are in the bitter depths of despair.
So Coventry City has to stay in the 2nd division because they lost. Luton Town gets promoted to the Premier League, and that win for Luton Town will earn them $200 million just by being in the Premier League. That's how big of a deal it is to be in the Premier League. That's the kind of money you start to make. They play in a 10,000-seat stadium, which is I can't even describe it. It's like built into a neighborhood.
It's like the size of Victoria Stadium.
Yeah, it's like a high school football stadium.
Like a 4A.
And now
it's
teams
small.
like Manchester City, Man United, Arsenal will have to travel to play there, which is just mind-boggling. Like I said, this is one of the greatest rises from being absolutely nothing, a semi-pro team, to climbing into the top of the Premier League.
Almost as if like the Hooks somehow managed to like, if there was an advancing
their
system,
way to
because for those
MLB team.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know about like international soccer like that, for the Premier League, the worst team, I believe they drop down to the second level.
They
team,
get
right?
relegated.
The worst two, right?
Worst 3 teams get relegated.
Yeah, okay, worst 3, and then
the top
teams,
3 of the bottom get promoted.
They get promoted for that season for the Premier League.
Yep, that's how they do that there. So they're in it, and it's pretty insane. And, of course, you heard the audio right there. Absolute scenes at Wembley. But the thing that happened here was they got relegated all the way down into semi-pro. And so they had to get promoted 4 times to make this Premier League run, and they did it all within the last 9 years. It would be the equivalent of like a Sunday pickup team, like if we started a team and we joined a semi-pro league and played other people who were semi-pro. It'd be the equivalent of us climbing the ranks and making it to Major League Baseball.
It's filled with players who like were good with their like secondary school over there in Europe, and they were good and like, hey, I want to start playing, I want to start training.
Yeah.
And then they joined the semi-pro league.
And then they climbed the ladder.
Yes, and then slowly but surely.
And now they're in the freaking Premier League. There's actually one player who was with them this entire time. His name is Peli Ruddock Mpanzu. He joined Luton Town in 2013, and he is now the first player to play for the same club from the semi-pro National League to the Premier League. So he started as a semi-pro player. Now he's in the Premier League.
His name is Pele?
Pelly. P-E-L-L-Y.
Oh.
Pelly?
Imagine this team becomes the next Leicester City.
That'd be insane. It's just going to be absolute scenes whenever the big clubs, like I said, like Manchester City, Man United, have to go play in that 10,000-seat stadium.
Man, I miss the Leicester City story, man.
That was a good one.
And then the top team poached all their good players away.
So just a little...
hey, that's how it goes.
Just a little rags to riches story. Now they're going to be pulling in $200 million this year just by being one of the 20 Premier League teams. That's how lucrative the Premier League is for these teams. That's why everybody fights to try and make the Premier League. That's why everybody fights to try and stay in the Premier League and not get relegated down to the second tier. Promotion and relegation, what an interesting concept. I wish American sports could adopt that one day.
I do like it. I really do.
I think that could be a definite segment for another time.
There'd be no tanking.
For sure.
True.
Yeah. So there we go. That wraps up the show. Appreciate all you guys getting in here this morning. Episode 118 is officially in the books. Next week, I will not be here. I'll be in Houston. I'll be partying, watching the Astros, but these guys will be here.
Alex.
So make sure y'all guys tune in for that. Love you guys out there. Have a great rest of your Sunday. For Adin Ducker, Alex Weister, Marcos Matakin, I am James Espinosa. No more questions. We'll talk to you next week.